back in the garage working on the Lambo. Thankfully, the car has been running absolutely perfect since we tore it all apart and, geez, I forgot what we even did. Oh, replaced the oil pressure sensor and had to rip the entire upper intake manifold, fuel rails, pretty much the entire top end of the engine off of the car. If you missed that video, go ahead and check my previous videos. But the car's been running great aside from one thing. I've noticed on the two high horsepower tunes, setting 3, which is a little over 1,000 wheel horsepower, which is half pump gas 93 and then half MS 109, and then also the setting 4, which is 1,100 wheel horsepower, which is 100% MS 109 race fuel. I'm noticing that the car is having issues in 4th gear at really high speeds. So that's telling me there's something wrong with the car. There's something going on. So I texted Dallas Performance. I was like, hey, you know, the car is pretty much hitting a wall. It feels like it has no power in the 2 big high horsepower tunes. What's going on? He gave me a couple of recommendations. We talked about some things, and now he's telling me that he thinks it may be the spark plugs. So I'm gonna change the spark plugs. Hopefully this fixes the issue. What's basically is happening, like I said, is the car is running great, but you know, once it gets into like 4th gear, and maybe it's making more boost in those higher gears, I don't know. But once it gets into 4th gear, the car is making tons of power, and all of a sudden it just hits a wall and just like, there's like almost like no power. So I was at a little racing event this past weekend, and I tried racing some cars, like a 600 horsepower GTR, a couple Mustangs, in one of the bigger tunes, thinking I was gonna like just go right past them. And because of the issues with the car, they ended up beating me by a little bit, or the GTR did. So it's kind of embarrassing, but hey, the car is having issues. So now I'm going to change the spark plugs, and hopefully this fixes the issue. They just may be fouled. We'll find out. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna switch this camera around and I'll show you what we need to do. So here we are. What a familiar sight, huh? We've got the work blankets, whatever the hell you wanna call them, on the car so we don't scratch them, because we're gonna be leaning over the paint again. And you can see everything is back together since we ripped this entire intake off. The car's running mint. Nothing I did is causing any issues, so that's a good sign. But anyways, what we need to do is we need to remove these plastic side covers here again, okay, which is kind of a pain, but hey, whatever. And apparently I need to remove that little tank right there, and the spark plugs are under that little cover right there. So the coil packs are actually on the plug. So it's actually called coil on plug. So we've got to take this cover off on each side, and then we'll pull the coils off, and then the spark plugs will be in there, and then we can replace them. Same on this side, there's just less room over here. So on this side, we've also got to remove this plastic cover, but there's also a frame rail that is underneath that plastic cover that we need to remove in order to get that side out. So apparently it's not too bad, according to the instructions I've seen on the forums, but we'll soon find out. So of course I can't hold the camera while I'm doing this work, so I'll update you once we get a few steps ahead here. Before we get started, I want to show you the plugs I'm using. So these are NGK, here we are, NGK Iridium plugs, okay, and they need to be gapped at 0.020, okay, and that's what we're going to do now, so let's get started. All right, so with Emily's help, I was able to lift these side covers off. This is what the engine bay looks like now. So this is the beam we need to remove. So there's 1, 2, 3 bolts there, and apparently there's 2 more up there. So those apparently are 13 millimeter, and we're going to take that out of there, and then we can get easy access to the spark plugs. Okay, so I got that frame rail out of there, and got the spark plugs out, got the coil packs out. I didn't have a coil pack puller, which would have made it, supposedly makes pulling these coils a lot easier. So I just used this coil over wrench that I have, and it works just as good. I was able to pull those coil packs right out. The spark plugs don't look too bad to me. Anyways, I also went ahead and ordered some new coils because just to be safe, I think these are my original ones. So I'm already in there changing the spark plugs. So I figure I'll go ahead and just change the coils while I have everything pulled apart. They're cheap enough to do. So we got some replacement coils here, 16, 17 bucks a piece. However, they're not OEM Volkswagen coils, which I was going to get, but I'm gonna go ahead and use these anyways. They should be fine. This is the part number basically, that 07K905715F. That's the part number for these coils that if you ever need to buy them for a Lamborghini Gallardo. But these are basically an OEM replacement, so they're not genuine Volkswagen parts. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on things if they don't work as well as the OEM ones, or if they don't last as long, then whatever, I'll change them out. But this is all I have right now. They look pretty similar. They look identical to the factory ones, obviously. There's the inside. And here are the stock ones over here that I've already taken out on the passenger side. Some of these look a little corroded, so it's probably a good idea that I am changing these out. So basically, what I have to do now, I've got all the spark plugs out, all the old coils, which basically pull out. This is how it works, basically, if you don't know. So the spark plug is inside the engine. Just pretend this is the engine. And they screw in, and then the coils basically just pop over like this. They just pop on. This one's gonna go kind of hard, but basically it just pops on, okay? And then there's an electrical plug that goes in here, okay? So I'm changing the plugs, and I'm also changing the coils. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take, there's a little rubber ring right here, see that? I'm taking it off all the old coils, and I'm putting it on the new coils. And then I'm gonna take all the new spark plugs, and I'm gonna gap them down to 0.02, because that's the proper gap that Dallas Performance told me to set these at. So we're gonna do that now, and we'll pick up when we need to put the plugs in. Okay, so I just started the car up for the first time, got all the coils and plugs back in. Sorry if I sound a little weird, I'm coming down with a cold. But the car starts, well, obviously it starts or I'd be pissed. But I just started it up to see, you know, if the car would start with the aftermarket coils and the new plugs, obviously. And the car starts so much faster now. Like in the past, when I would turn it over, it would take a few seconds. It'd be like, and then it would start. And the idle was kind of rough at first. But now, with the new plugs and the new coils, the startup is so instant, and it sounds a lot smoother and feels a lot smoother too. Not as much vibration out of the engine. Unfortunately, it's 11:30 at night, so I had to shut it right off after. I don't want to wake up my neighbors. And I may take the car out for a quick drive right now, or I'll wait until tomorrow. But so far, so good. If nothing happens on the test drive, then we'll go ahead and end this video here. But that's how you change the plugs and coils on a Lamborghini Gallardo. I'm sure it's pretty similar in other years. But yeah, not too bad. Like I said, the hardest part was removing that frame rail, which was right here. Haven't put it back yet. If I had just used an impact gun, like I ended up doing at first, I probably would have saved myself about an hour and a half of trying to get it out with a hand wrench. I guess I'm kind of just stubborn like that. Otherwise, pretty simple job. These things tend to take me 3 times longer than they typically should because, well, I like to clean things as I take things apart. If I find something that's dirty, like right there underneath that panel, I have not taken that off before since I got it back from Dallas. So I'm going to be cleaning it now before I put the panel back on. So things like this tend to take me a long time to do just because I like to clean things as I go. I take my time and I make sure that everything's going back exactly how it needs to go. But all in all, I mean, if I was to do this again on this car or someone else's car, I would say easily 2 to 3 hours, now that I know exactly what I need to do. So there you go. I'm sorry if I couldn't show you every step of the way. I don't have a cameraman, but pretty simple. Again, just remove those plastic side covers. Also that back one there. You will need someone to hold up this trunk or engine cover while you remove the struts from that little aluminum piece. And then, you know, after that, you remove that frame rail if you have Any problems with those back 2 bolts, use an impact gun. It will save you about an hour. And after that, you get easy access to valve covers. Then you can go ahead and remove the little plastic piece that covers the coils. I don't have them back on yet. And you can remove the coils, they just pop right off. You unplug them first, take the plugs out, get the new plugs, gap them correctly, put those in, and then pop the new coils back on, plug them in, and pretty much reverse. So that's it, changing the plugs and coils on my 2004 twin turbo Dallas Performance Stage 2 twin turbo Lamborghini Gallardo. Not any different for other Lamborghini Gallardos. I'll talk to you soon. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. Press like if you enjoyed this video.